Today we're going to talk about how to structure compensation for managers, specifically managers in operations. So this would be, we'll kind of cover operations managers and general managers. Those are going to be the two main roles. So for your operations manager, it is the hardest job, in my opinion, in the whole business. And the best way to keep those people, because it's such a hard job, the best way to keep them is to give them a very good comp plan that incentivizes them. So my recommendation is to do a structure where you do a salary plus bonus incentive on gross profit. That is generally what I have found to be the best model. Now, there are some ways to kind of spiff it up and put different touches on it. Sometimes I get people asking me like, hey, can I pay that person hourly rather than a salary? Sure. If that's what you want to do, the salary, the benefit with that as the employer is I can say, hey, I'm going to pay you a $55,000 salary or a $60,000 salary. You can rule out the overtime. Like if they work 40 hours or if they work 60 hours, they get the same salary. Whereas if you pay them hourly, if they work more, then you're going to be paying more. And to me, if you're doing a bonus incentive on gross profit, that really is the reward for them going above and beyond. So my suggestion is to do salary. If you're paying someone hourly, it works, but I don't think it's as good. So the only reason that you could maybe drop down to hourly is just simply because you look at that number, like it's an easier number for you to justify and wrap your head around. And also some talent, they've always been paid hourly. So maybe that's just how they prefer to be paid. Some people don't like salary. So now let's talk about the bonus incentive. So what percentage do you do? Well, this is going to be different for every size business. So if you're a $1 million business or if you're a $10 million business, very different because the gross profit of those two businesses are so different. A lot of times I'll see anything from 0.5% as high as 5%, depending on the role, depending on the business. What I would do is of course, have an employment contract with their compensation plan written out, and I would review that every year and make sure that the person signs it. Because then every year it's kind of like a renewal and you can come back around. And if the business is getting kind of so big with growth to where it doesn't maybe make sense what you're doing with their comp plan from maybe something you set up years ago. So you want to have it in writing. You want them to sign off on it. You want to have it as a document. And I think 1% or 2%, 1 to 3% is generally kind of a good place to be. And if you kind of think about what that looks like, take your business, and hopefully your goal should be to gross profit about 50%. Every business is different, but if you can gross profit 50%, let's do some math. If I'm a $1 million company and I have an operations manager, let's say we gross profit 50%, so that's $500,000. So I'm going to pay my ops manager, let's say 1%, hopefully I can do some math here, 1% on 500,000, which would be 5,000. You got to just think about like, okay, what could that income look like for the person 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now? Because that's really what you're selling. You can play around with it, but it's on the gross profit. And the reason you do it on GP is because those are all the things that your ops manager can directly influence. So direct labor cost, fuel costs, claims, daily rentals, short-term rentals, POS, your credit card processing. So those are some of the things that are in COGS. And so the big one's going to be the labor and fuel. Labor, fuel, and then truck rentals. Now, this gets into P&L talk, but like you're probably going to put your long-term leases and if you have a note on a new truck, like you financed it, that's going to be in the expenses of the business. So in the bottom half of the P&L, if your ops manager keeps getting daily rentals and like they're getting like 30 daily rentals a month, you're better off to go get a long-term rental or buy a truck. And you would like for that person to make those informed decisions. When they see the rentals go so high, that's when we should get with ownership and say, hey, I think this is what we need to do. Now, for your general manager, you could do the same comp plan, but give them a bigger percentage of GP, but you may find that you like incentivizing the GM more on net because they don't just manage operations. The general manager is now in charge of also sales, marketing, admin, finance, and operations. So you may want to look at a percent of net profit for them. Now, how often do you pay those bonuses? It is best if you can pay them monthly. Annually, it works, but at the benefit of the incentive program, of the incentive bonus, is to motivate the manager to do things that makes the business more profitable. But the only way it works really, really well is if they're getting that hit of dopamine from getting paid bonus monthly or quarterly. If they only get the bonus at the end of the year, I got to do the work all year long, and then I get a big payout at the end. Not as good. And also, it's not as conducive for you teaching them how to look at a P&L, because really you should look at your P&L monthly. And so if you pay that bonus out monthly, then it creates this habit of them learning how a profit and loss sheet should be looked at. And it also goes hand in hand with forecasting. So forecasting is us projecting how much business do we think we're going to do next month? How much business do we think we're going to do next week? And I think paying out those bonuses monthly is the way to go. It just takes a little more planning and structure, and you definitely need to make sure that whoever is your accountant or bookkeeper is getting your P&Ls to you quickly, because you need the P&L to pay the bonus. So hope that helps. If you have questions about this, just give us a comment below and just keep doing what you're doing. Busy season is coming. Get ready. Now's the time to get your management really everything they need, so that way they can go do a ton of business over the next 4 or 5 months. So we'll see you guys next week. All right, peace.